All right, guys, thanks for jumping on. Looking back at last night, defensively, didn't like the way we started the game. Like I said in the post-game press conference, I think to start they had, I think it was a 14-play drive, a 14-play drive, and a 10-play drive, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, they went 3 and out, 3 and out, 2 and out, a 7-play drive, and then a 3 and out. So we certainly got better as the game went on. Story of that was just the third down conversions. Got to be better on third down, particularly in the first half. But like the way that we stopped the run, for sure. Like the fact that we had 3 turnovers. Really could have had 6 in my mind if you count the 2 interceptions that we weren't able to come up with, and the fumble that was on the ground. And then just defensively got to clean up the penalties. Not very good. I mean, we had some of the pass interference calls. I think we had more in one half than we've had the whole season. We had 2 offsides penalties on third down, and then a roughing the passer on a 2-point play. So we've been really good from a discipline and penalty standpoint. Got to be better there, but like the way that those guys responded offensively, like the energy and passion we played with, like the physicality that we played with. We made a point to run the ball, and we did that. Love the way, did not like the turnovers in the fourth quarter. Like I mentioned, that can't happen. We got to be better. But if you just look at our first offense last night, they had 7 possessions, and they scored every time they had the ball. We never punted. That first offense had 5 touchdowns and 2 field goals. And then I think for us as a team, just really, really pleased with that. The end of the first half, Charlotte had 1st and 10 on the 45-yard line going in to score with right around 2 minutes, maybe a little bit under 2 minutes. And not only did they not get points, we stopped them, and then we went down the field, got the ball on the 6-yard line and went all the way down the field and had a chance to score a touchdown, but got 3 points out of it. I thought that was huge, and then really proud of our team and the way they came out to start the third quarter. Award winners for us, the offensive players of the game, were Marshawn Lloyd and Javon Gwynn. Defensively, as what we decided on as coaches, the defensive players of the game were Devontae Reed and Debo Williams. And then special teams-wise, Xavier Leggett, Josh Van, and Peyton Mangrum. Peyton did a nice job on most of our units and made a tackle on a kickoff. Leggett did some good things, not only returning kickoffs, but covering kicks as well. And then Josh Van, obviously the punt return that got turned back, but also got called back. But the hands team, when they kicked an onside kick, he went up and attacked the ball. So really proud of those guys. Scout team wise, offense was DJ Twitty, defense was Andrew Colacerdo, and special teams was Colin Bryant. So appreciate the way that our guys battled from that standpoint. And injury-wise, kind of the same as last night. Nothing new from the game last night, thankfully. And, again, everyone that I thought we had a chance to get back this week, we still feel like we have a chance to get back. Darius Rush and Dylan Wanham would be the 2 that are probably most questionable right now, but we're very optimistic on both those guys. So go ahead with your questions.
Hey, Shane, it's Dave. Speaking of injuries, I know Stone Blanton dressed last night, but did he actually get into the game?
He didn't. He hurt his shoulder against Georgia a little bit. He practiced this week, David. He didn't do much on Tuesday, but he practiced on Wednesday and Thursday, and we had every intent to play him. And then we just got out in the game last night, and coming out of pregame warm-ups, he just didn't feel great about it coming out of pregame warm-ups, so we ended up not playing him. But he'll be fine, and nothing significant.
Shane, it's
Colin, I guess. Shane, go ahead.
No, Shane, you obviously mentioned the fact that Dawkins is going to be out for a while. What did you see now that you kind of got a chance to review the film on some of those young edge rushers you had to put in the game after Gilbert, Tyreek, and Jordan Birch?
Yeah, really after that, it's only Brian Thomas. Hot Rod Fitton got in there a little bit, but Brian Thomas is the one. Brian's undersized, but he's got a high motor. You look at him, he doesn't have the height and the overall size that the other guys do. But so he's got to play with great leverage and great pad level. He's got some twitch, and he's able to rush the passer he's got to be that guy for us, and we've got to continue to develop that depth. We got to be creative about what we're doing defensively and who's doing what. But, I thought Brian to get in there and have his first real game action, he got some pressures on the quarterback and got some hits on the quarterback. And, one thing about Brian, he's always going to play hard. So he's got to just continue to get a little better and better each week.
Shane, it's Ben. You mentioned that 2-minute drive at the end of the first half. I guess, first of all, did you guys think that Marion Brown got out of bounds at least on that throw from Spencer? And then I guess what do you kind of think of your offense running through sort of a small window of time there and getting downfield and getting in position for a field goal?
Yeah, on the sideline, we got to be better as coaches. We thought he was out of bounds just looking at it. Like if you're just watching AB, you think he got out of bounds. But, you can see you can see one of the officials on the sideline. I mean, he's waving his arm to wind the clock, meaning he stayed in bounds. So, I'm more bad probably at myself because probably should have called timeout there. At that point, I think we hadn't used a timeout yet, and we had 3 of them. So, to hit a big play down the field like that, probably, could have called timeout. We let too much time get away right there because, yeah, he was in bounds, but, we got up to the line and we were trying to, make a call right there real quick based on the coverage they were in, and we just took up too much time. So that, starts with us but we got to be better executing right there for sure. And then I was really, really proud of our guys, because we didn't get much on the first down play. I want to say that was an incomplete pass, maybe Ben, but then we came back and handed the ball off and got an explosive run over their sideline, got out of bounds, and then we ran a vertical concept that they covered, so then Spencer dumped it underneath the stog, and he picked up a chunk of yardage, and then obviously the big play to AB and some of the other plays on that drive. So I thought it was big. We work on that 2-minute drill a lot. It's great for the players, obviously, but it's great for me, just the decision-making that you have to make in a 2-minute situation, like that. So it was really good. Would have loved to have gotten, 7 points out of it, but take over on your 6-yard line and walk out of there with 3, we were certainly very excited about.
Hey, Coach. You have CBS and Corey both get their first touchdowns last night. How have those guys been progressing the last couple of weeks coming off of those injuries, and, what was it like to see them get that moment in front of the home crowd?
Yeah, no, happy for them. They've really been working hard. You hate it for them, 2 guys that had really good seasons at their previous school, and then they come in here and they haven't been healthy. So I know it's been frustrating for them, but they've been great teammates while they've been out and not able to play, and I think that shows with the way that their teammates were how excited they were for them when they scored those touchdowns. There was a lot of energy and excitement on the sideline for those guys, and it's because of the kind of people they are and the way that they've worked and handled their business during the time that they've been out.
Shane, it's Ben again. On that 2-point conversion you guys ran, the fake field goal, I guess what kind of went into that decision? I guess what did you guys kind of see there? I mean, it looked like that was a little bit of a funky formation. I guess how did you guys kind of draw that up?
Yeah, every week we want to be able to do stuff like that. You go all the way back to the Eastern Illinois game last year, Ben. We did something very similar on the first touchdown, and we did the same kind of snap and threw it out there to Nick Muse, and Nick Muse ran it in on a very similar play. Against North Carolina in the bowl game, we on the second touchdown, we did it, kind of an unusual formation, muddle huddle type thing. We lined up that way against Arkansas earlier this season, and then we shifted back into it and kicked it. So every week we want to be able to do, things like that. Doesn't mean we're always going to, but always want to just, for us, Ben, it's when you put something like that on tape, it means the other team has to spend time working on it. And if they're working on that, they're spending less time on trying to block your extra point or field goal. So that's kind of what it was. And for us, it was kind of line up a certain way in an unusual formation, not really sure who's eligible, who's not eligible. They got to cover down on a certain amount of people, and And, we have some options off of that, depending on how they line up, or you can always just shift back in and kick it. So, against Arkansas, we shifted back in and kicked it, and then last night we snapped it. But for us, knew we wanted to go for two. I'd say most teams in college football don't have they've got a ton of 2-point plays, because with the new overtime rules, you have to you have to be prepared to have a bunch of 2-point plays in overtime if you got into it. So for us, it was in that situation, maybe not wanting to show one of our 2-point plays. We felt like we had a call there that would allow us to run the ball and like the odds of what we had called with the extra point, and worked out well for us.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Shane, Sean. 2 weeks ago, y'all played probably the most difficult defense in the country, and last night was statistically one of the worst. How do you balance what you see out of your offense? Given the two ends of the spectrum of the defenses that you've played the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think for us, it's after every loss, there's good and bad, and there was with the Georgia game last week. There was certainly some ugly, but like I told you guys this week, we sat in there as an entire offense last week and watched the entire game tape together, so the whole offense could see just that plays were there to be made last week and against Georgia, and we just didn't do a good enough job of making them and executing. Same thing this week. There were a lot of good things that we did last night, but there's a lot to clean up and be critical of as well that weren't good enough, that will certainly get us beat when we get into some of these SEC games that we're going to be in down the stretch, obviously. So, again, it's just, learning from it, win or lose, and, there's a lot to build upon. And I told our players last night, too, and told them today in the team meeting, that, there's the physicality that we played with last night, and the intent that we played with, and the energy and passion that we played with, we would have had a hell of a night offensively against anybody last night. I know statistically where Georgia is, but they've got, or where Charlotte is, but they've got some good players on that defense, and we played really, really well. I don't care who you're playing. If you go out there and your entire offense never punts the football, you're doing some good things, and you're operating at a pretty high level, regardless of where the other opponent is statistically.
Shane, it's Dave again. There's some weather lurking off the coast. Some high school games are already starting to move their games. Have you guys heard anything from administration about, could this game Saturday be in danger of being moved?
I have not heard that. I did see that. I was just looking at the weather, just thinking from a practice standpoint, what we needed to get done and things like that to prepare for weather, like I always do on Sundays, and saw that it was going to be obviously rain, so flipped the TV over to the Weather Channel and watched a little bit of that today. But no, I haven't had any conversations with anybody here at the university.
Shane, it's Colin. I guess running a lot of counter yesterday. I guess from a schematic standpoint, what is that counter play designed to do, and what about it kind of mixes with your personnel to make that pretty successful for you?
For us, I think it's one we're good at it. Javon Gwynn at guard is he's a force when he pulls and is coming over there to block the other team, block the defensive end on the other side, and you've got to have some athleticism on the line of scrimmage to do it, and we do with him and Vershawn in there at guard. And it's just for us, it's a physical play. It's basically a gap scheme type play where no matter what they're in, you should be able to block it. And it's something we ran last year, something that we're good at this year, along with inside zone as well, kind of our two top runs right now, and something that our backs have a good feel for. And then also it allows you some play action off of it. We had two or three play action passes called last night where we were trying to take a deep shot down the field, and we were selling the counter play off of play action, where it looks just like the run, but it's a pass. So there's play action off of it, and and just kind of complements what our guys do well.
Hey, Shane, last night we
one
saw...
more quick question just on the you mentioned kind of earlier this year just the blocking on the edge from the receiver group, tight ends, et cetera. I think it was the play that Jalen Brooks sprung for like a 4-yard gain. CBS just about pancaked like 2 guys on that play, and it seemed like the blocking on the edge was a little bit better last night. I guess what have you kind of seen from those groups, at least in that sort of facet, and I guess how'd you kind of grade it out, if at all?
Yeah, they were awesome last night. Probably in my mind, just thinking off the top of my head, probably the best perimeter blocking game that we've had offensively probably since I've been here. I mean, they were fantastic. They really were. That play you talked about with CBS, I mean, he did a great job. Stogg was already blocking the guy, and then CBS came in there and cleaned it up, and then I think CBS went up there and got another guy that I want to say maybe Juice was on. But if you watch a lot of those runs last night, Ben, you see the perimeter blocking downfield. Jalen Brooks had the play where he made the guy miss over on our sideline on a little quick screen or quick bubble, whatever you want to call it, and he made a guy miss, and that's because I think it was Stogg was over there on the sideline. He was blocking. So all those guys were really, really good. They competed. We work at it a lot in practice. We've challenged them in practice to be better at it. Our 2 best, we call that the perimeter drill that we do on Wednesdays every week during the season, and we've really probably our 2 best days of doing that in practice for the last 2 weeks. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we've got to be better defensively. Georgia got on the perimeter and did a good job against us last week, kind of kicking out the little swing screens to the running backs, and we didn't do a great job getting off blocks. And then last night, Charlotte kicked a couple of those quick screens out there, and we didn't do a great job of getting off blocks. So we have to be better defensively, and will be. And then really proud of our guys offensively by the way with how they performed on the perimeter. And we want you guys probably get tired of me saying it when everybody's complaining about our offense and not being able to run the ball. And I always say, well, it's not just the offensive line; it's all 11. Well, you saw that last night. Yeah, the offensive line did a great job, but I'll tell you who else did a great job was our tight ends were fantastic in the run game last night and on the perimeter for the runs. And then the receivers were fantastic. I mean, go back and look at the long run that CBS had where he got the ball down there. It was on a counter play again, and he got the ball down there to about the 2-yard line. I mean, Jaheim Bell blocks his guy all the way into the end zone and puts him on his back. So really proud of the unselfishness of our receivers and tight ends and the way that they competed in the run game last night.
Kind of to that point, I feel like we saw a lot more of Nate Adkins last night. I know he had a target in the passing game too. What does he kind of bring to your offense, and how does he kind of fit in when you're having these big physical games like you're saying?
Yeah, he's a physical presence. He's we knew that when we brought him in. I mean, Nate's got some toughness and some nastiness to him, and that was something that we needed at that position just to give us another body. And then he's got really good hands. He runs good routes. He's got a good feel for the passing game. So that's what you saw. And we did a little bit more of, some true 3 tight end sets last night where we did different things out of it. And Nate's a guy that he's another one that was banged up there for a while and probably wasn't 100% healthy till, I don't know, maybe last week. But he continues to just execute and do his job and do it well.
Shane, had one more for you. Just it seemed like to carry on didn't play quite as many snaps as the last few weeks. Anything up with him, or is he just kind of how the chips fell yesterday?
No, just kind of how it fell. I mean, he rotates with Amari and Brown, and I think AB only played maybe 20 to 25 plays. So they didn't play as much. 1, we were running the football. 2, we were doing some more than 1 tight end set. So you can only get so many receivers and people on the field at one time. And if you got 2 or 3 tight ends on the field, that means you got less receivers than you normally would, and that's essentially what it was.
Thanks.
Hey, Shane, it's Hale. I was just curious if there are any of the younger guys or guys who are backups who got extensive playing time last night who really stood out to you guys last night?
Not really, Hale. Defensively, we've been playing a bunch of those young guys already. Kawan Banks is a guy that when we went back and looked at it, felt like, he's a guy that needs to continue to get more and more playing time. The moment's not too big for him. He's doing some good things on special teams, and then he made a nice play on the sideline when we had the offsides penalty late in the game. And then the other one that got in there, and we have high hopes for, is Casey Henry. He came in and played with the injury to Wanham. He came in last night and played some offensive tackle as a true freshman, and was raw like you would expect a true freshman to be at right tackle, but we're excited about his potential and what he can bring to the table as he continues to develop.
Is he a guy that you would think long term is a right tackle, or do y'all think maybe one day he could swing to the other side?
I think he's got the potential to swing to the other side. We'll see how things go down the future, but no, he's a guy he's worked both, and we're training all those guys, tackles, being able to play both sides. That's what our guys do right now, and same thing with the centers and guards as well.
Appreciate it.
You bet. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you Tuesday.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.